One of the biggest mistakes I see people making when they're trying to improve their volleys is they either get on the ball machine or have their coach feed them balls and they just stand there and turn into a robot where they're working on technique. And I do those drills as well as a coach, so I'm not saying they're not beneficial. It is part of the process. The problem is a vast majority of the volleys you hit in a match are going to have a movement element. You might be running in from the baseline, hitting a first volley. And so we've got to incorporate movement into our volley practice if we want it to translate to a match. Now, the most important volley movement pattern that I have, I call speed bump movement. So if you were driving your car over a speed bump, you would go fast as you approach it. When you got close to the bump, you would slow down and go over the bump. And once your car was past the speed bump, you speed off again. So you go fast, slow, fast. The mistake I see is, if we're using the speed bump analogy, if you went fast all the way through, you would wreck your car. The second you went over that speed bump, the bottom of your car would be ruined. Also, if you go slow all the way through, you'll be safe over the speed bump, but it's going to take you forever to get there, and the car behind you is going to be super pissed. So we want that fast, slow, fast movement. When you are playing singles and you go fast all the way from the baseline to the net, that's great. You're going to get super close to the net. The problem is, because you never slowed down, if they hit to either side or lob you, you're not going to be able to change directions. The other mistake would be just creeping into the net very, very, very slowly. That's also not going to get the job done. Yes, you're more balanced, but now you're going to be deeper in the court. So I'm going to show you what the speed bump movement looks like from the side. All right, so a lot of times we've hit our approach, hopefully from three-quarter court, and you're not going to have that many steps before they actually hit the passing shot. So when I'm back here and I've hit my approach, I'm going to have time to do maybe 2 quick steps. I'm going to slow down a little bit. And once I see where that passing shot is going to go, I speed up on an angle again. So it's fast, slow, fast. Another thing I've heard people say is, well, what about the split step? If you watch great players when they come to the net, I've heard people call it a gather step, not a split step. The whole key is if you slow down and you're balanced, that is great. You don't have to actually run in and hop every time. That can be difficult to time. So I call them a gather step. Kelly Jones on my podcast called it a gather step. If I was doing it full speed, I'd come fast, slow, and then fast again. So you can see I'm taking a few of those split step, stutter steps, whatever you want to call it, but it's not the traditional split. So I actually had one of my remote students come down and visit me last week. We worked on this movement. Take a look at that now. All right, so here we have our first few examples off the ball feed, and you can see right here, there's a little bit of awkward footwork, which I'll address in a second. On this one, we're just going fast all the way through. There's not really a pause, so we can't cover a lob or to the side. And same thing on this one. And the awkward footwork I was speaking about earlier, you want to always load on your outside leg. So for a forehand volley, that would be your right leg, so you can flow through and push the sides. And you can see right here, he's pushing off on his front leg, which makes that incredibly more difficult. And so we worked on the speed bump movement, and you can see this is the next day. We have a little bit more of a fast, slow, fast pattern. We have a couple stutter steps, and then we're loading on that outside leg. So again, the first 2 steps are so important after your approach, because that is how you're going to get closer to the net. Once they're hitting the pass right around here, you're going to have to slow up, and that can be with a split step, a little stutter step, whatever you want, a gather step. And then once you see where the ball is going, you want to close fast, load on your outside leg just like this, and then extend through the volley. That is picture perfect. So again, just looking at the first one, you can see that similar speed with no difference. And then we kind of corrected that the second day to that fast, slow, fast pattern. Okay, so is a beanie and 4 layers and a winter jacket and 1 glove appropriate attire for 45 degrees? Maybe, maybe not, depends where you are, but I am absolutely freezing. So if you've enjoyed this video and got something, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing to the channel and even sharing with a friend who might benefit from this as well. But if you use this speed bump movement, I think you'll find you're balanced, you get to more volleys, and you finish a few more points at the net.